All right. Now, I was just watching the Car Wizard, and I've been watching the Car Wizard lately, and he works on cars and cars that and he has quite a few cars in there that have a lot of miles on them that he works on. But the point is the Honda with a $1,200 oil leak, and another one. It's just the place of the location of the alternator on a Honda that makes it hard to get to. Taking things apart to get to stuff on a Honda, certain parts that can, be located in crazy places that makes the car expensive to work on because it takes hours and hours to get the thing apart just to replace a simple part, And that's what makes Hondas hard to work on sometimes. So, I'm just saying, car repair on today's cars can be very complicated because, there are some minor car repairs that I've taken on myself, but really, there are other things that I do. There are other things that I'm interested in and doing, and I really don't want to spread myself so thin that I'm taking on car repair and trying to do car repair and taking cars apart and repairing cars because really in my life I've done minor car repair, but the fact is I'm not really a mechanic. In the truck things are easier to get to, and that makes it a little easier to work on for me at least than a Honda. But the fact is, especially Hondas and foreign cars and smaller cars, things are just hard to get to. Things that are in precarious positions, and that's why like something that the Car Wizard said. He was mentioning the Honda Pilot, or whatever it was. His son-in-law was driving, and it needed an alternator. And sure, he's a mechanic, and maybe he could put an alternator on it himself and do the job himself. But like he said, it would take a day of cursing and throwing tools across the garage. So that just seemed a lot like me. Something I would do. Trying to do something that's hard to do, cursing and throwing stuff, trying to get it to fix, when it's broke, when it's hard for me to do it, because I'm not a mechanic, I'm not a trained mechanic, and stuff like cars. I mean, if you're not a real mechanic, a good mechanic, it's hard to take a car apart and fix a car when you're not really a mechanic. You may stumble through certain repairs, but basically it can be pretty expensive. So I just thought I'd throw that out there. It's economical and cheap to be able to do things yourself, but I mean, if cars are, if it's really got something wrong with it, instead of trying to spread yourself too thin and do it yourself, especially on a car like a Honda that's complicated, and, taking engine parts apart on stuff like Hondas, things have to be torqued down to a certain torque, You don't just put stuff on and tighten it up. It has to have a certain torque specification. I mean, timing belts have to be timed. It has to be timed a certain way so the engine will be in time. Everything has to be, it's very specific. Auto mechanics is very specific in certain ways. And if you don't know about torque and you don't know about, the procedures of tearing things up, taking things apart, it can be very difficult. So for real car repairs and stuff, I think from now on, I'm just going to leave it to the pros from now on. I'm not going to try to be a mechanic because I'm just going to leave it to the pros, let them do the work, because, the woodwork and the camper repair and things like that. Things like that, even electronic repair, circuitry repair. Sure, I can put a belt on a tape player, but, as far as circuitry is concerned, there are people that are really good at circuitry that they have oscilloscopes and equipment like oscilloscopes and stuff that they can use to diagnose a problem on a circuit board in a stereo or whatever like that, electronic equipment. And if you're not really trained and with the knowledge to know how to diagnose a faulty transistor, a transistor can be a problem to diagnose them. So that's what you got to do, is to replace a transistor, and to know how a transistor has to be replaced. I like a vintage electronics and stuff, but it's expensive. It takes someone with an oscilloscope to, or and the right kinds of, you can, there's waveform, um, frequency readers and calibrators and all this kinds of stuff for electronic repair. And I can buy used stereo receiver, but as far as trying to plan on really tearing it apart and repair the stereo myself, I just don't really want to fool with it, because it's not really my thing. I'm not a trained a, a service personnel. I mean, I can do it and do some repairs, like a capacitor I can replace, but that's about all I've been able to replace is capacitors on electronics. So I guess this video was why you should not repair it yourself. It would just be a lot easier if you have a car that's broken down and you want to get it done right. Find an honest mechanic. Find an honest mechanic and get it repaired. Just get it over with. Get it repaired. I'll see you on the next one.